Yes, sir.
Okay. Call this regularly scheduled meeting of the Troup City Council to order, noting at 6:31, noting all council persons are present with the exception of Mr. Richardson. At this time, I would ask Nelson if he would lead us in both an invocation and then we would stand and do the pledge.
Okay, let's begin with prayer. Father God, we thank you so much, Lord, for this day you've given us. We thank you so much for the city of Troup. Father, we thank you so much for the officials and the people who work in the city. Lord, as we know, Lord, we thank you so much, Lord, for the rains you give us. And Father, we ask you, Lord, for protection for those surrounding counties, Father, that are being damaged or being disturbed by the recent weather events. Father, we pray, Lord, that let us have wisdom, let us have discernment in all the decisions we make today. Not only for today, but Father, for our future. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time,
to start singing.
yeah.
I actually was getting ready to start singing. I was like, am I at the basketball game or? Oh, say, can you?
Oh, just go ahead. Let's stand one more time.
Oh, no. I'll close the meeting.
Agenda item number 4, consider approval of minutes from the regular scheduled meeting of April 15, 2019.
I make a motion that we approve the regular scheduled meeting of April 15, 2019.
I second the motion.
A motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Agenda item number 5, citizen comments. These are brief comments concerning non-agenda items. Any agenda items should be discussed until they're called for. Any citizen comments? And we'll move on to agenda item number 6, review and consider the city financial report for the month of April 2019. Mr. Cox.
All right, we're at 58% of the budget year, and of course the most important form I think we look at is our cash comparison as compared to last year. And at the end of April this year, we're down $76,000 from where we were this last year. But down at the bottom it says that 6 years ago the Troup had $608,000 in its working accounts. This is an increase of $230,000 in 17 months. Since April of 2012, the cash position has changed almost $350,000. We've had a lot of, we repaired a sewer line and a lot of stuff this year. And the second SRO, we haven't been reimbursed from the school yet. She makes a lot of money.
So that would also
be
reflective of our decreased cash.
That's right.
Okay. All right.
The balance sheet is there, as well as the income statement, and in your electronic packet is the check register report. So does anyone have any questions on any of those?
Questions? Entertain a motion?
I make a motion we approve the financial statement.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the financial statement. I'm assuming that's the April 2019.
That would be correct.
And is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. And we'll move on to agenda item number 7, which would be the city manager's written report.
Well, I guess I better give it to you. Let's see here. Print this and we'll
Get the last.
apparently if I stick it in your stuff that goes out on Friday, there's stuff that happens that I need to put in it. It's not there. So I'd rather wait until Actually, I cheated, I did this one yesterday, because I don't want to be out of the office all day. I'm pleased to report that I went to Homeland Security Day, and they did not detain me, so I didn't make it.
What were you working on? Your travel thing?
Yeah. All right, at the end of April, we are 58% of the budget year. The May sales tax payment was $34,977, which was down almost 9% from last year at this time. This is, we had 12 consecutive months with that increase in sales tax revenue. So we broke that string, but as Nelson said, it's going to be broken at some point in time. So here we are. And the May 19 payment was also less than the May 17 payment. For the fiscal year, sales tax collections are 18% over budget, which means they're more than what we budgeted. While wastewater and wastewater collections, likely due to the wet weather, are 8% under budget. Of course, we're getting to the dry time of the year, so we'll see what happens. Work is almost complete on the Community Development Block Grant project and installed a new 8-inch water main along East Pasco and North and South Athena Streets. The old line is completely disconnected and is no longer in service. This disconnection resulted in a boil water notice for the section of Troup affected by the interruption of service. We actually had to insert valves in those lines to close those lines off and disconnect them. Of course, when you disconnect folks' water supply within a boil water notice is what results from that. Of course, that's never a pleasant thing to do, but you hope that the improvement in infrastructure.
And most of us got that in Code Red notification.
Yeah, everybody that was in that area that Code Red out in that. Of course, folks that are not registered in Code Red, they don't get the call. So if somebody says, I didn't get a Code Red call that lives in that area, they need to make sure they're registered.
Yeah, I got a text by a resident that was in that. I said, well, if you're in that area, it's a good thing you know about it.
Yeah. All that remains is restoring the landscaping of the right-of-way, installing the concrete pads around valve boxes, and the painting of our hydrants. And I noticed that a lot of that was taking place today. And then after that is all done, we'll have a walkthrough with the contractors, and then we will, when everything's satisfactory and working, we'll sign off on the project, and they'll get the rest of their money.
What is the balance?
10% is what the else.
They're at retainage level.
Engineering work in preparation for bidding continues on the downtown revitalization project. The utility companies are working on removing their lines. If you've seen the people boring under the railroad, that's one of the utility companies getting ready to move their lines off the poles and under the ground. Okay. We're planning on bidding a project to replace a section of sewer line on West Duval Street that's east of where the emergency repair was required last year. After the bids are received, we'll bring the project to the city council for consideration. I want to see what the project's going to cost. Remember, the emergency repair cost us about $70,000.
Is that where they dug up that large strip?
From Dairy Queen to
Because there was no longer any
Buddy
the sewer line completely collapsed. And we have a section that's not quite in that bad a shape, but that's the reason.
You've cambered it, is that why you know?
The Jolene family splash pad soft opening was on May 15th. There have been no significant problems with the pad or the customers that I'm aware of. There will be a grand opening held when the commemorative bricks are installed and the Jolene sign. There's a kind of a historical plaque inside. They were going to place in the park. It's being cast from May this time. The eminent domain condemnation is awaiting review by the three court-appointed commissioners. And when they review that and tell us what the values are, then we will escrow that money and the property will be ours. I have a price on the demolition of that structure that I got.
Okay.
Any questions? Code enforcement will have at least 3 properties presented to the council for consideration for demolition at the June council meeting. There should be adequate funds left over in this year's budget for the demolitions for these 3 structures. And actually, one of the fourth structure, but that property owner came, and they're gonna do that demolition themselves, because they decided they could demolish it for less than what our lien was probably going to be. So Randy.
Is that because you notified them
That's
that
right.
it was on the list to
That's
be?
right, that's right.
Okay.
Which that's the only one that's happened. Which we do not care, we just assume they
Yeah,
demolish it themselves.
still want the responsibility.
That's right, that's right. We don't like being on this. The Texas Parks and Wildlife Department site visit for the Sharp Street Park is complete. We are waiting the receipt of the grant contract from Texas Park and Wildlife before beginning any work. He actually called me today and said he had completed his part of the contract, and he was waiting for the signatures of his officials in Austin. And when that was done, he would send it to us for our execution, which should be in the next week to 2 weeks. The grant is a $61,000 50/50 grant. The Troup Community Development Corporation is providing the $61,000 in match. Okay, here comes the interesting part. The Texas legislature has capped the amount property taxes can be increased without calling an election at 3.5%. In truth, in dollars, this is a cap of $20,372. So that means if we raise taxes by $20,372, we have to call an election. And the folks have to vote whether they will allow us to do that. The legislature also passed legislation that made illegal our fee structure for building permits. Right now, our fees are based on the value of the project. The legislature decided that was not a fair way of doing that, so we have to come up with a different format for our fee structure for building permits. So right now, if you want to build something, in truth, it's a good time, because we can't charge you a building permit. We can charge for inspections, but we cannot charge for a building permit. Waiting is the governor's signatures legislation that prohibits any requirements for brick or structural materials as long as they are permitted under the National Uniform Building Code. This will make null and void our zoning requirements for brick and mortar construction and will allow construction of metal buildings of any kind without facade in your area. For example, the way this plays out is if somebody goes and demolishes a tin barn somewhere and wants to put that up as a residence inside the city limits of Troup, they will be we were required to allow them. This is the folks you elected to office. The other thing that happened this week is they did away with the plumbing licensing. So after September the 1st, there will no longer be any licensed plumbers in the state of Texas. The legislature's explanation on that was if local communities wanted plumbers licensed, then we need to come up with some way to license.
Yeah, more specifically, it was a battle between the plumbers and the Sunset Commission. The legislators were expecting to hand this off to TDLR, who has oversight of electrical contractors and air conditioning contractors and maybe a couple of other guys. And 2 or 3 of the big players decided to play hardball with their elected officials, and this school funding and this sales tax thing apparently was the only thing they intended to get done this session.
Okay.
There will be some licensing issues.
So anybody wants to go to public business, you're free to do that. Even if you're not sure which way water runs.
It's not the water. It's the things that are in suspension there.
Yeah.
Or that you should keep the two separate.
Wow.
Or which side the hot and cold is supposed to be on. We may have some more toilets as well. Approximately $6,500 was spent this month replacing both the electrical components and the piping in the Wilkinson Drive the sewer lift station. This is part of preventive maintenance. It's not due to the failure of we had a lot of rusted piping and some bad valves and that sort of thing in that station. And when we renovate, we've already renovated one of the stations, and we renovate the stations. The way the stations were originally built, all the valves and things were down inside the lift station. Well, the way we're redoing them is we're moving all the valves and controls outside the lift station, so if you have valve and control problems, they don't actually have to pump out the sewer lift station to solve those issues. Which I could bring pictures if you want to, but probably just as On June the 15th, the well will host their annual meeting, provide us with their new health insurance rates and options. Buffy and I will go to that meeting and bring that back. I will be attending the National 911 Conference from June 13th to June 9th. I will have all electric communications during that time if you need it. That meeting is important. And TML, and remember the city does not pay for that, but I'm excited after that. TML is hosting a legislative update on Monday, June 24th in Austin. I plan to attend that to get the details on how to do legislation. Any questions?
Any questions on the city manager? We have a police report.
Yes, we do. I forgot. Thanks for reminding me.
So,
I'm trying.
we're going to check all the agenda.
Thank you. It's on this side, it's just caught.
The police department's at 611 cases for the year. They had 8 arrests during the month. They issued 8 citations. They issued 168 citations for the year. And the city total revenue from those citations for this fiscal year is $7,600. And they've issued 75 warnings, which makes a fiscal total of 606 in warnings. The PD would like to recognize Chief Pat Hendricks, Lieutenant Sean Murray, and Office Manager Ebony Taylor for 13 years of dedicated service to the city of Troup. And Troup PT attended the East Texas Peace Officer Memorial Ceremony in downtown Tyler, and all Texas law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty.
Okay.
Any questions?
Any questions on the police report? These are both non-action items on the agenda. We'll move on to, if there are no questions, no discussion, move on to agenda item number 8. And this is discussion or action regarding the agenda request from Randall Starkey concerning traffic and animal complaint. And I believe Mr. Starkey.
They took care of the traffic. There was across the street, Glenn, that big house.
Right.
It's hard to see on the side of the road, when you come by like the water tower, and go down.
Yeah.
It's hard to see over those bushes, And then my neighbor, Mark Sitters, my sister got bit by a dog. The neighbor, Big Blue House. And Johnny, the dog catcher, came over there and he said he couldn't do anything because they just slammed the door in their face. And he tells me, when I see a dog, just call Troup Police. And I see a lot of dogs out, so why call Troup Police when I see just a little stray dog, that's been taken care of? Sometimes dogs get out.
Yeah, mine does sometimes.
But the neighbor's dog, my mom was walking a few weeks ago, and that dog tried to attack my dog. Then it tried to attack my mom, then it tried to attack me. I think it's a pit bull.
So, what would you like, other than making us aware of this, did you have a particular goal in mind?
Well,
Or mainly to make us aware that?
Make it aware, and like my friend, he had a dog in Tyler, and they took it for like 40 days to get poisoned.
Right.
And I did it on that Troup. That's Troup that do that.
I think,
Johnny's
If you read Johnny's report.
Yeah, I'll be happy to read let's see if I can read through this. This was by Johnny Cameron. Did everybody get a copy of this?
Yeah.
Called on 3 and 16 at 3 and 6 and 19 at 8:16 a.m. Called 504 East Duval, took dog bite. However, there was no bite, only a small scratch on a female at this resident's leg. After talking to the residents, I was told the dog in question, a pit bull or mix, lives at 502 East Duval Street. There was no dog out, so I talked to the resident 502, who then informed me that no dog of the description the neighbors gave lived there. Went back to 504, informed them that they need to call when the dog is out, which is probably what you're describing now, or at least provide video evidence for proof, so we'd have some concrete evidence-wise. The later date, I ran into one of the residents of 504, complained informed me that it was still happening at 502, letting their dog out. I asked if he called PD, and said, which I'm assuming is you. At that time, he had not called PD, or they wouldn't come out or do anything, so he would take the matter to the city council, which is why you're here. This backside of this document says I told him he could call me and I would call the police and meet over there, and you said no, that you would come to the council. So,
Well, I haven't seen that dog anymore. I think they do it in the backyard now, but their fence is all messed up. The kids take care of the dogs, and they got, some of them are little kids, and
the old Brownlee house. Look, the corner of Athena and Duval. Rick's old.
Dr. Leah's
Dr. Leah's.
office.
Yeah. And it was probably somebody before it was Dr. List, whose house it was originally. So, Mr. Starkey, I guess it's good that for us, that you're letting us know about this. It will cause us to probably have more dialogue with our staff about how to address these things, and probably we'll try to come up with a more clear recommendation for any resident that's having pet complaints on how they can address those in a timely manner. I know my wife is often concerned when she walks dogs, walks our little dog, and she goes by certain houses, where dogs basically stay in the yard, but sometimes if you've got another dog on the leash, they will come out of the yard. So it is a challenging thing, and it's frightening for her, and so I'm sure for you and your mom and your sister.
my sister,
And your
but she got
sister.
little kids, so.
Yeah, and it's frightening for you guys. We're aware of it now. Johnny's more aware of it. I think, Gene, it's been discussed some with the police department. Certainly, the city staff's aware of it. So there is a limit without.
Chief Hendricks said, of course, if they were found, they would
Yeah.
respond. He said that
Yeah,
they could-
we're more aware of your scenario now because you've come to the council than we were before.
Yep.
And if we get a call, we'll respond quickly.
And later that day, I saw the dog out in the front yard,
Yeah,
so they just had it in the house.
right. Yeah, and that's according to his deal, they said they didn't have a dog like that, but we do. And there's some things I think the council, it's good that you've informed us of this. It's things that the council can discuss and try to be more aware of, and see if we can come up with some suggestions about how to re-communicate the whole leash law thing. We use an invisible fence at our house, but that wouldn't keep an aggressive dog from running through it, But, it is something that I I think we can pay closer attention to and try to,
I just don't, I don't know what about me, because obviously, I'm 6'4", but I got a little nephew about that tall, and if that dog, comes up, I'll knock him on the ground, and may hurt him, on my little knees,
yeah.
so.
Well, and Johnny said he could act on the video.
Yeah, anything that, any supporting
that far.
Any supporting information like that, you'd like to think that you could just, tell us about it, we could go do something about it, but it becomes this crazy he said, she said thing that makes it really complicated. And thank you for coming and bringing it to our attention, because now when we do have to discuss this, it'll be a lot easier. It won't be the first time that we've had to deal with it. And there's, it's not just those animals, or that animal. There's, there's animals elsewhere. When I first got on the council, there was, an issue somewhere over by the Presbyterian church that I remember, that we had to deal with. And so,
Sunday night when I got home, there was a random dog in my driveway, and when I opened the back gate, he ran right in. I thought my dog was gonna kill him.
yeah.
So, I mean, there just happens
Yeah.
sometimes that.
So,
And I use that corner
yeah.
all the time, so I'll be more aware of what I see in front of me.
Yeah, and I'm down there, all of us live down there.
Yeah.
I mean, to the left or to the right, we all live down there. So, we'll be more aware of it, and I think because of your interest in discussing this with the council, it'll help us open a dialogue about, an awareness thing, maybe some information that we need to put out, remind people we have a media source through the Jacksonville paper. Since the Tri-County leader's gone, we can put out some notices there and discuss,
Remind them that we do have a leash law.
yeah. But it's a complicated thing. You've got cats that don't, you can have a fence and they won't stay in a fence. It's a very complicated thing that we find ourselves dealing with. Cats are typically not attacking somebody, but we hear you, we're aware of your concerns, and we'll try to be as proactive as we can be. And if you would help us by, if the dog, the dog can be in their yard and not be in violation of the leash law. But if it's out of the yard, then, we can do something about that.
And I was talking to a friend at the end of that sidewalk on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, I think, and he came out, Kendall came out and said, y'all gotta move because my dogs will bite you. And I just didn't know how he can tell, he don't even own that sidewalk, and he's already telling me that his dogs bite,
Yeah.
so.
Call the police or call Johnny. I think
Yeah,
that's.
that almost sounds like a threat.
Yeah.
That's a different, that almost sounds like a threat that goes beyond.
Because they don't have a front yard, so when they do come out and try and get it on video.
Well, I hope that maybe we can be proactive and help, with the information that you've shared with us, that we can be more, Mr. Cottle and all the appropriate departments have done a lot of investigating in it. Of course, the answers that they're getting.
She said.
Right, and so, we probably need to be a little more definitive in the information that we have, and, unfortunately, I think, as far as, the leash law thing, ticketing is probably our limit right now. An animal attack is probably different, but it probably has to be reported, I believe, through the police department.
Well, it has to be visible by the rodents.
Yeah. That's how that happened, probably to your buddy. wherever, Tyler, or wherever they were. So, do you have any other questions for the council?
No.
Okay. I thank you for coming. It's the kind of thing that, you know, if my wife were here, she'd be waving, you know, big flag in your defense. She has the same serious concerns.
There's just a lot of dogs, you know, my mom walks all the time, I don't walk. And she'll take her dog, and there's so many dogs trying to tag you, you know?
Yeah. We'll investigate this further, and if you can document it.
It's so much better than it was when I moved here. Can't believe how
That's about to make it
smart and
an age.
age joke.
Said that
It
was,
needs to be very careful.
Not an age joke.
said that was, okay, so not to diminish this with council banter, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for helping us understand the dilemma that you guys are dealing with, and our guys will try to be, you know, I mean, this is what we do, you know, if it comes to the council, we discuss it with the department heads and try to be as transparent as we can with the citizens that are involved, help us help you on this thing. So, thank you for sharing it with us.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody?
Nope, thank you.
Do I need to say it?
No, you can if you want to see how
It's gonna be a long time.
yeah, see how we just spend your tax dollars in the next coming year. Okay, so is there action? Anybody feel like we need to take any action on this? Okay, so no action is required.
I mean, I just have a question, we can do the quarantine if there is an actual buy.
They have to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a
They,
I didn't think that was
so
just
they either have
I think
to,
that's
well, they
because
either have to quarantine it or
put it
the
down.
attorney has to put it down and send it off for rabies examination.
Exactly.
But in this particular situation, Johnny
What,
didn't feel that.
he didn't feel like it was a bite. He
Right.
felt, and I think they actually said it was a scratch.
Yeah,
When he got
and
there.
honestly, I completely understand being intimidated by
A mix.
a scenario like that. I appreciate, I appreciate him coming in and saying it sounds like there could be a little neighbor pressure in general, you know, across the
Well,
fence.
it almost sounds like he's the neighbor who's threatening with the dog.
Yeah, yeah,
Shouldn't run with it.
yeah, that sidewalk is on city.
comes down to a civil matter.
Yeah, that city is on, you know, I mean, that sidewalk's on the city right away, so you don't own that sidewalk.
Well, then, you know, I have a 3-mile trek that I walk,
Yeah,
and it starts at my house, goes all the way over by the bank, comes back down on Cross Street around by Bailey, back to the house. There's dogs that bark at me, but none of them ever leave
right.
their.
Well, you're not walking with a dog. though.
No, that's true.
And
If you walk with one of your cats,
Yeah. they'll probably come
Well,
in.
FYI, I wasn't reporting, they do have a cat cat.
We do.
On Magnolia Street, yes.
Okay.
It has attacked several dogs that are being walked. Runs out to the road and attacks them the next.
we do, and I know we're about to put this thing to rest. We're not, you know, we're not discussing it for voting purposes. We do have a requirement from the city that all pets are supposed to be registered. I think it's a $5 fee, and we don't really enforce that, and maybe, you know, it would be something to discuss later on about how to start a campaign to get everybody, it's just a one-time fee, isn't it, Gene? Is that
Yeah.
Yearly.
yearly?
I have to do it, and I have 5.
Yeah. And, you know, I found out about it through animal control while I was sitting on the council. It wasn't Johnny, it was his predecessor, I can't remember who it was, Lonnie. My dog was taken hostage for wandering the streets, which hardly ever happened.
I think the dog was several times.
So,
Took him
my
all
dog
over.
used to ride with Johnny.
He used to ride with me and my
Yeah.
dog. They like.
Okay, agenda item number 9. I'm going to read the whole agenda item as it's typed. This is to discuss and consider approving resolution number 2019-0520-01R, resolution by the city of Troup, Texas, city, denying the distribution cost recovery factor rate request of Encore Electric Delivery Company LLC made on or about April the 8th, authorizing participation in the related rate proceedings, requiring the reimbursement of municipal rate case expenses, authorizing the retention of special counsel, finding that the meeting complies with the Open Meeting Act, making other findings and provisions related to the subject, and declaring an effective date. This is every year, right?
Well, whenever they ask.
Whenever they ask for it. They actually ask us to deny
If we
this.
deny it, it goes to the PUC,
Right,
Public Utility.
yeah.
This is where we want it. Then we have the same rate as everybody else.
Right, then you don't have this debate from one individual municipality or whatever. So this is something we have always done since I can remember. And sometimes they have a representative at the meeting that explains why they want to do it. But they're asking us to deny this. This isn't us saying that we're wanting to deny it. They're asking us to deny it.
I make a motion that we approve resolution number 2019-0520-
We need to change that. Look at, you should have the ordinance in your packet. See, the ordinance is by today. It was removed, we originally were going to have the meeting. Read the caption off the new ordinance. Sorry.
Thank you.
Go for it.
Okay. All right, I make a motion that we, resolution of the city of Troup of Texas City denying the distribution cost recovery factor rate request. Oh, that's what we did.
Just need to change that, change the.
Yeah, the number.
It's right here.
Right.
Just read that.
It's the same.
Oh, that one. Because
Resolution.
mine's the same number.
No,
Okay.
it's not. It's not.
Go back to it.
Okay, I make a motion, we approve resolution number 2019-052-010R.
0530.
Well, this is wrong.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah, we had to redo it after.
Oh,
Okay, I make a motion, so you said 0530. Okay, I make a motion that we approve resolution number 2019-0530-01R.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Opposed, same sign. We'll move on to agenda item number 10. Discuss and consider approving the final plat for the Fox Run edition of the E&G Survey 8-10 located in the ETJ of the city of Troup. And would you like to speak on this matter?
I am here to clarify any
We have this on.
misunderstandings or answer any questions. You have the final plat, and I also submitted the drawings for the water and everything. But the issue came up here a couple meetings ago of landlocking the 5 acres behind me.
Right.
And I'd have to provide some kind of egress.
Oh, yeah.
But I think, Buffy, you got from Daniel Cooper.
Yeah, Daniel sent me some stuff and I gave it to Jody. Jody reviewed it and Jody approved it.
Yes.
So there is no landlock.
There is no landlock. The man that, in fact, I contacted Michael McMichael, who lives adjoining the 5 acres that's behind me, and they own all that land, and I sent him a letter, 4 or 5 years ago, and I said, I'm interested in buying the property there because it adjoins mine. Are you interested? I'd like to submit an offer. Sent me a letter back that said, not this time, but if we decide to sell, we'll contact you. And then they went in and clear cut it, and I thought, oh, they're going to do something with it, but it didn't.
Right.
And actually they drove across that little corner of my property on that 0.76 acres in the front. Never asked for permission, I don't care, it's just, unusable, but they used it for going in and out the log trucks. It was no big deal, but I just want to make sure that
So he's got an easement all the way around it. I mean,
he does.
So it's.
About half of it, yeah, it shows that, that property of the house goes back, it's probably several acres. But he has a good amount of land contiguous with the 5 acres, and so they have access through that, and so.
We just couldn't see that on that first plan. It just
That-
showed where you
yeah,
stopped.
that's
And then
right.
Daniel brought it up there.
Yeah.
It's okay.
And I was happy that Daniel kind of stepped in
Yeah.
and took the ball on this thing. And then I communicated with him and said, I knew about it.
How big is that parcel that you're planning?
How big is it? It's
You don't have to roll it out, I just,
it's an even 5 acres.
okay.
Now, there's a .76
Yeah,
on that front with the metal building that we sold.
right,
Well, it was up on our finance. We're supposed to close it in July.
right.
He's actually going to buy the first 2 lots behind here. And I've agreed to a price. And this lot here is unusable because it's a floods, and part of
Is
it
that
floods.
Sadler? That's Sadler Street?
That's Sadler Street right here.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And so this guy runs fireworks, and he wanted this for a buffer, and then he wanted to buy more land, and I agreed to sell him another acre, because that was about halfway low, but the rest of it
All right, nice.
are up high, and I could build on those. And,
You own the land behind that?
no, this is.
That's the Big Michael.
That's the
That's
Big
Big
Michael,
Michael.
and then he lives right there.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that was the land, that was the property in question. And so I can develop this and finish that out once I can afford the water that goes in there.
okay.
But I think it's going to be $8,000 or something to run under the highway.
Okay.
And anyway, so just wanted to clarify that so we don't have to provide an easement across our, that 5 acres.
So we need a motion.
Yes.
I make a motion that we approve the final plat of the Fox Run addition, Easton G Survey A.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none?
This is in our ATJ, this is not actually.
Yeah, yeah, but it does still require.
That's right, that's
Yeah.
right, it's in our ATJ, it's originally.
Okay. Hearing no additional discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
On the water, that your water line you're talking about, is that Wright City water or City of Troup?
No, it's just Troup water.
So you may contact the neighbor across Sadler Street, has that house, not on the corner, but the house out in the middle of the pasture.
Yeah,
It's called repeatedly, want to know why the city wouldn't run water to hit his house. He might be willing to help you pay for a little of that water.
I know down at the end of Sadler Street, because John ran.
There is
some
one,
water
like a double wide that's there or whatever.
Yeah,
But the guy that's behind him and a little further out,
Okay.
I think he owns the acreage that maybe adjoins Sadler Street. It might be worth investigating.
Behind Elmer.
because it's expensive coming under
Yes.
Highway 135.
Yeah,
It's got to be an 8-inch casing and.
yeah.
You know,
It would
it's
just be interesting because they have called me more times. And I
You don't have a name or anything, do
They
you?
were released from Wright City since they're in that.
Oh, that's was
That's
the
the
deal.
problem.
That was the deal. He's in Wright City Waters, PUD, or,
Yeah, and they're, yeah, but he's, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And they would have to release
And
him.
that release him is not open.
Okay. Anyway, never mind.
Okay,
Never mind that.
never mind. Okay. I've sat through a lot of these meetings, so I'm.
So congratulations.
Hey, very good.
And good luck. We
You
hope
sat through these meetings when I first started,
Yes.
so I've been sitting through them for a long time.
Our long longer than I did.
But yeah, I know.
I think you
some
left
people
the
longer
year,
than
you
me.
moved out of the city.
I did.
The year I came on. So you probably heard the story about the 2 dogs ripping a cat in half.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I thought, and I was sitting, first first or second council meeting for sure. It was my two dogs that had done it. The guy had pictures and I'm sitting over here, my blood pressure's going up, all of a sudden it was some stray dogs. And I'm like, oh my God. It wasn't a brown lab and a white lab, stretched the cat in half. Yeah, but see,
Dog and cat food.
$5,000 worth of cat.
yeah, we're on the council for that.
Me too.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you. Good luck with your project. Agenda item number 11, discuss and consider suspending the requested rate increase for 45 days for Centerport Energy. There's obviously a reason for that.
Yes, that's the one thing we can do. The same thing happens if we suspend 45 days, it goes to P's.
Okay, all right, so this
For
is
exactly the same
basically,
reason as on.
this is basically about a standardized
Right,
rate.
right.
Okay,
We just need to move to suspend this rate increase for 45.
I think we should consider suspending a requested rate increase to 45-day for Centerport Energy.
Second.
So that is a motion.
And she made that motion to consider this. You need to make the motion.
Yeah, is that a motion?
Yeah. I'm okay.
But you need to make that you're making a motion to talk about it. What you need to make is a motion to suspend it.
Okay.
Okay, because when you say consider, that means you're going to talk about it.
Oh, okay. I'll make a motion to suspend a requested rate increase for 45 days for Centerport Energy.
Very good.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Agenda item, our first agenda item, number 12. We're going to call that 12A. Discuss and consider interlocal agreement with Smith County for road projects during the current budget year. And this is
the standard form rate, the same thing we did last year, except the new center street.
yeah. And I think everybody's got a copy of it.
Yep.
So, and Gene's got it up here, but this is what we have to do. It lets us buy road oil or,
They do all the work.
yeah,
Just like we did last
And
year.
last year.
Yes.
yeah. So,
I make a motion that we approve and enter the interlocal agreement with Smith County for road projects during the current budget year.
Second.
can I change it? All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion passes. We're going to call the next agenda item 12B, because they're numbered that way. Preliminary discussion for the 2019-2020 fiscal year budget. Mr. Cottle,
All right.
giddy up.
Here we go. The thing about moving the meeting this late was it gave me an opportunity to get this ready to go.
So you're thanking me
Yes.
for not being in the town for the last one.
These are the highlights. You have this piece of it.
Yes.
You do. You do. You have that. Okay, the statutory limits in the 2019-2020 budget. The maximum property taxes can be increased without a mandatory election. This is the $20,372. There will be approximately 500. What this legislature said was they didn't want you increasing taxes more than 3.5% off the existing property, but that all cities would be able to make enough money off the new property that 3.5% would be more than generous. So in Troup's, the preliminary assessed values, we added $72,000 worth of property in this year. So out of that new property, we will collect $526.24. So the legislature's reasoning was that Troup was just like Dallas or Austin or Houston and generates millions of dollars out of the new property that's added to the tax roll this
Well, and Troop's not alone.
year. No.
And this deal's done.
Yeah.
But prior to that, was the limit 10% or was there no limit?
It was 8%.
8%.
Yes.
Yeah, so it whacked it pretty much in half on what we could do without an election, and that deal's done. So let's look at this budget.
What's in this preliminary draft budget? The council approved longevity pay and certification pay for police officers. Remember, we set up longevity pay and certification pay for police officers. So I have to include that in this budget because that's something the council's already agreed to do. I estimated the health insurance premium increase is 4%. We'll know what that is on June the 5th when we meet with TML. In this budget are expenses as submitted by the Public Works Director and Police Chief. There's a new police car that we anticipate paying cash for, a new tractor for the Public Works and Street Departments that we're going to lease purchase, the anticipated loan repayment for the possible Texas Water Development Board loan for renovation of the wastewater treatment plant, and the remainder of the rate increase in the water and sewer rates to fund the loan for the wastewater treatment plant renovation. Remember, we did half of that, and we were going to come back. If it looked like we were going to get the loan, we will do the other rate increase coincidentally
in this budget year.
In this
proposed budget year.
What's not in this preliminary draft budget? Any pay increase for any non-police employee.
Back page.
Yeah, flip it over. The Public Works has requested a 3% increase, but it's not included. 3% increase for hourly employees would be approximately $8,400 in cost. That's not included in this budget. Public Works requested a part-time seasonal employee that is not included in this budget. That estimated cost is $3,800. That's assuming the student works 2 months. And any increase in the property tax rate, I assume just leaving the property tax rate as it is. But we had to have some place to start. That's right. In the current fiscal year, $50,000 was budgeted from reserves to balance the budget. I didn't include any reserve funds because you can't keep budgeting from your reserve funds. You won't have the reserve funds left. Well, you can do that. But in the current year's fiscal year, $9,500 was budgeted from the sale of assets. The income from the sale of assets is not anticipated in the preliminary budget. Because we sold our assets last year, we shouldn't have any more to sell. This is how the department expenses in this preliminary budget pan out. In administration, they're $9,032 less than they were last year. In streets, they're $26,266 less than they were last year. And the police, just to cover the increase in the step in the longevity pay and the certification pay, that's $20,407.93. Parks, we have a $4,688.44 decrease. And that's even counting some extra money for the splash pad, but they don't have to buy a lawnmower this year. Last year there was a lawnmower in their budget. Animal control, $1,180.75 increase. Most of that's because of health insurance. Water, a $3,663.44 decrease, and then sewer, a $54,000 increase. And most of that $54,000 increase is because of $55,000 we had to figure in there to fund the loan if we might. Based on the preliminary budget, the shortfall deficit in the general fund is $67,192.52. And $150.19 in the water and sewer. So anyway, so what I'm going to need from you, from the council, okay. Of course, there in front of you is the preliminary draft budget. And it has my notes on the side, correct? And see right up here in this corner is that little red number, that's the deficit in the general fund. Which what happens is that changes as we go through here. Like I said, the only thing I added into the property taxes was the additional $500 we're going to get from the new property that was added. I've estimated at the end of the year that we're going to collect $440,000 in sales taxes, but I'm only budgeting $380,000 next year in sales taxes. And here's the reason for that. The last 7 recessions after World War II have been predicted by an inverted yield curve. An inverted yield curve is when the short-term rates, the 3-month money, pays more than buying a 10-year treasury bond. And when that happens, like I said, in the 7 times we've had recessions since World War II, that yield curve is inverted. So the yield curve has basically been inverted. I get the daily treasuries. That yield curve has been inverted for the last month to 6 weeks. And the inversion is beginning to broaden. And as it begins to broaden, that's a very good predictor of recessions. So if we go into a recession, the thing that's going to be affected when people start spending less money, sales tax revenues are going to be impacted. Correct?
You sound like an economist for our industry. They're predicting the same.
Are they predicting the same thing?
Yeah, it's-
Well, at least I'm not out there by myself.
In the next 12 to 17 months.
Yes, well, it Forbes, the article was out today that they're, you know, and you remember the course I took on managing money that I went to down in San Antonio? That was that guy's, that he was a big believer in that because he says 100% of the time that proves to be correct. He said interest rates are going to predict when that's going to be. So I can't budget $440,000 in sales tax income if you're looking like you're going to.
Have less.
Yeah, so you're budgeting about 15% less
Yes.
revenue. And I think, you know,
Well, I'm actually
I think in my world, I'd always rather understate revenue
right.
in these preliminary budgets than to understate expenses.
Right, see, I did something I haven't done in the last 5 or 6 years is, see, I actually increased the sales tax budget from what it was the year before because I've always budgeted less than we collected the year before. But see, this year I budgeted 372.
What we don't know exactly what our year-to-date, I mean, what our final sales tax numbers will be for 2019.
No, we still got 4 more
4
months.
months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, we know what they're projected to be, and it's gonna,
Yeah.
the only thing that won't be there is, well, there may be more people waiting to pay their taxes, so.
So that doesn't affect sales tax.
Yeah,
You're talking about sales tax, I'm sorry.
yeah. Yeah, and the only reason I asked that question at all is if we were gonna carry a little surplus forward from this budget cycle.
Well, I don't know because I don't know what I'm going to have left over after I do streets and that.
Right, okay.
In the current budget, we budgeted $1,756,000, and then this new budget, I budgeted $1.67 million, which I cut the income by $80,000. And the primary reason for that is because of $50,000 out of the reserves. And the other $9,500 that I cut out of the sale of assets. So what I'm going to need is some guidance from the council. Because I revise these numbers each month as I get another month worth of numbers in. Because the original budget I had was at the end of April, and these numbers were basically at the end of May. And so I need for you to tell me what you want to do about salaries and that sort of thing. And streets. See, I've got, John has budgeted in streets the same amount of money we budgeted last year, which was $81,000. But I'm going to have to figure out somewhere to cut $70,000 out of this. Because see, even if we raise taxes, the maximum, $20,000 is all you're going to be able to do. So if you take $67,000 and subtract 20, you're still $60,000.
You're basically 50 light.
Yes.
And the only really increases that have been requested is the $20,000 from the police department and the $54,000 from the sewer.
Yes,
So-
other than health insurance. I've already loaded a 4% health insurance increase into every department.
So,
Because that was easy.
Because TML is indicating that's going to be.
No, they haven't indicated anything.
But you're anticipating.
Yeah. I felt like 4% was a fair number to start. I'll be surprised if it's about that. Won't you, Bucky?
Yeah, because we got hit hard, what was it, year before last?
Yes,
And
somebody
then last
offered
year,
me to replace.
yeah, it went down. So that'll burn us up a little bit. We had several knee replacements that year, what was yours? That was the same thing on Johnny's too.
So the main thing I want from you tonight is to look this budget over and let me know which direction you want for me to go.
We need to find you $67,000.
No, you don't necessarily need to find me $67,000, but you need to tell me if you want to give raises to the other employees, if you want to cut, street repairs.
On that loan, that loan payment, will any of that come back? Did we have like a grant?
Yeah, it'll reduce the amount of that loan payment. But if that happens, we may or not do the rate increase on water and sewer as well. So that's kind of a wash. See what I'm saying? That's the reason we did that rate increase in steps.
For clarification, using that $67,000 number, if the legislature hadn't done that thing, we'd still be short on this model. It just would be, we'd have about 20.
We would have more room to make up.
Yeah. So we still, this first pass, or it's not really your first pass, but this presented.
No, my first pass showed it was balanced, but that was because instead of putting $50,000 into street light for electricity, I changed that to $5,000. That made my first budget
Look really good.
Yeah. I'm going, how did that happen? And then
Yeah. 2 months out of every 14. Okay.
And what was our water increase? over the last-
It was a little less than 4%. The total is a little less than 8%. So the first pass was a little less than 4, the second pass will be a little less than 4. So it's about 7, a little over 7%.
7%.
About 7.5%. And of course, see, I don't have the new numbers on what our computer software maintenance fees and that sort of thing. You know, those never decrease, they
Right.
increase. So none of those, all those numbers are plugged in those numbers. I don't have the new numbers yet on our risk insurance. All those numbers are plugged in. We didn't have a whole lot of increase last year on risk insurance except in the police department. The police department, their risk insurance always goes up more than anybody else's.
Most exposure.
But you remember for workers' comp, they're like third or fourth. Did you know being a street employee was more dangerous than being in the police department?
According to workers' comp.
They're not in it.
Yeah. No, the workers' comp rate for my guys in the street department are 2.5 times what they are for police officers. And the most dangerous job in the city, you know what that is?
What is that?
Sanitation worker, a guy riding a garbage truck. That's the highest workers' compensation category there is.
In the city.
They always get hit.
Because roofers probably.
Yeah.
Okay, so what, Gene, what are you recommending?
I'm not,
I know, but,
Yeah.
but you're not, but you are.
well, what I do is need some guidance. You know, the problem of it is if we're gonna guarantee the police department raises and nobody else raises, then that's good for the police officers, but not necessarily for, see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Of course, if we do raises, that means we're gonna have to cut money out of something else. Because the pie is just so big. And your pie's gotten a little bit smaller than it.
So on the streets, we've been doing how much per this year for the past for the streets?
Well, we've been averaging about $50,000 last year. Last year, you remember year before last, we had over $100,000.
Right. Well, we got Smith County.
Yeah. And that's the only reason we can do that much is because because if we try to do all that ourselves, it costs a lot more than that.
Is that gonna be on the county?
Yeah, we haven't decided how much, what streets are gonna be in this year's budget. And then in the future budget. I know what streets are in this year's budget, the one we just approved.
This new legislation is going to possibly force us to tighten our belt?
Well,
I
yeah,
mean, is that,
but the truth is, when was the last time we actually hit the rollback rate?
Never, it says I've been here.
So we've never gone to the 8% that I can't remember if we hit rollback rate when Russ was here or Jed was here.
I think you consistently said it just about a half a percentage point under the roll.
Right. But how far behind rollback rate were we last year?
We were, last year was only about 2.7.
Right. Yeah. So as these numbers continue to come in, I hate to make a rash decision right
But
now.
remember, last year we had almost $800,000 worth of new property. So see, that added about $7,000 to our budget. And we don't have that in this year's budget. You know, there is that, there's no new property to add money for us.
Yeah.
We had the least amount of new property added of any city in Smith County.
and you figured into this, the reduced tax, sales tax because of you're betting that the economy is, that we're going
Yeah, you know, this
recession.
month was down, and I'm, you know, industry-wide, everybody is predicting that a recession is
So-
imminent.
So if the recession, if we go with the budget, let's say like you have it drawn at 67,000 negative.
We can't do it, we can't do a budget negative, that's illegal.
Well, I mean, but can we make up for that 67,000 with reserve funds that we have? We have money in the bank, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And I know we don't want to do that every year, but the recession's not going to last forever either. So if we use those funds in a recession year, or if, let's hope that we don't have the recession,
Right.
then we'd come out okay and not have to get it
Right, so,
reserved.
and of course, I think I'm very conservative on sales tax, I think sales tax will come in higher than that. But
That's-
I'm not willing to bet my life.
Right, and your predecessor was willing to bet his on coming, and that was very upsetting to some of us. So,
Whether, you know,
There's about a $59,000 split between the projected year-end sales tax revenue and the budgeted.
and there's no more money that I can pull, we transfer money out of water and sewer over in general, but there's no more money to do that. I was curious to see how water and sewer fell out, but if I do any kind of raises in water and sewer, I'm gonna have to pull some money out of some of the improvement accounts, and that, for example, we've got $25,000 in water and sewer for testing of for infiltration testing. So we'll have to pull some money out of that.
Yeah, it becomes smoke and mirror.
Yeah, and so there's no more money to move out of water and sewer over into general, which can be used to offset a part of your deficit. And of course, if we do this loan with the Texas Water Development Board, they don't like for you to transfer more than 10% of your general fund budget from the water and sewer fund. So 10% of our general fund budget is, and see, we're at $129,000 already we're transferring. So 10% of our general fund budget is $167,000. So that's the max that Texas Water Development is going to let you move. But I don't have $167,000
Two
to
trips.
move. That's right. can work on the numbers, but you need to tell me which direction you want to go. Because those are policy decisions.
Yeah.
If you give me a policy decision, then I can, yeah. You tell me what you want to do, and then I can work it. Then I can tell you how we can get there. See what I'm saying? You don't have to figure out how to get there. You tell me what you want to do, and I'll figure out a way to get there. But I need some guidance from you on that. If you see something in the budget you don't like, you can say, well, hey, can we cut this money here? And I can tell you, yes, we can, or maybe you don't want to do that. And give you the reasons why not. You know, I'm not arbitrary on the decisions I make. You know, I have a reason for everything that's there. And the deficit is going to be more when the next run comes around, because when I get the numbers back on our software and that kind of thing.
Okay, it may have been just a slide that you had, but there was some things that you had that I'm not seeing here. Okay, here we go. New tractor, police purchase, new police car. Is there any of those hard purchases that we can
We don't have to
cross our
buy, we don't have to
fingers?
buy anything. I mean,
Yeah.
we can instruct him
Yeah, I
to
mean, we
defer those expenses.
Right, and we have been pretty freely buying equipment and cars for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
It seems to be-
I've been here 7 years and we bought a new police car every year.
And we've had plenty of, and we've got a lot of money, in my opinion, and I think you would agree, in the bank. But, I mean, I think it'd be that if we cut out, if we just, you know, we may have to buy something if we're forced to, but if we could, you know, if we're in a recession at home, we're gonna cut out, you know, mom ain't getting a new car this year.
Well, let me show you those costs, okay? The police car is $30,750. That's in item 503-192. Did you see that one? It's on your itemized list.
Okay.
503?
503-192. All those are in numerical order.
Okay, got it.
Okay?
And what are we gonna spend annually on the lease purchase of the tractor?
Well, just a second, I'll pull that up for you.
Because I bet if you ask the chief, he'd rather have the raises than the car.
Okay. All right, here's the tractor. I estimated that tractor's gonna cost us $9,000 a year.
A year.
That's for 5 years. That's based on $40,000 at 4.5%.
Right.
So this year, we could say, you know, unless we're forced to go to the reserves to buy a police car and a tractor, or we could save $40,000 right now off the,
But the tractor's getting in pretty bad shape, so it may not be something we want to.
Is it it's not a track hoe.
No, it's just a tractor. It's just a regular tractor they mow grass
You
with.
bush hog with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it has a front end motor and that kind of. So it's a $40,000. And I think I'm high. We figure it's gonna be somewhere around $30,000. And these are our other lease payments. The backhoe's $12,000 a year.
That we already have.
That we already have.
Yeah.
The mini excavator, $7,000 a year. We've got 3 more years to pay on that. The dump truck, I think there's 2 more years on that. And it's $3,900.
I think you start with trying to not spend the capital
Yep.
money.
I think that's the biggest
I
gap.
think you start that way
Yeah.
first, as opposed to taking salaries.
maybe take a deep, you know, hard look at raises and just say, you know, let's make sure that we're,
We have to balance.
huh?
We have to balance.
What I'm saying was, let's make sure that we're staying in line you know, we want to pay our people, no doubt.
Gina, help me with this. You did have money coming into this budget calculation out of reserve?
No,
Zero.
zero. Out of either water or sewer or
Okay.
RD.
Did we last year?
Yes, we had $50,000.
Okay.
And we had some.
And your logic, which is sound logic, is don't continue to go to the well every year.
Seeing, this was the first year we've ever pulled.
This is what?
This is the first year that we've pulled money from reserve.
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay, see, here's the previous year's one.
Oh, okay.
And just so I'm clear, how much money is in reserve?
Well, it's our cash position.
That's what it's,
Eight something.
$838,000.
Yeah, which we're down $76,000.
That's what I was, okay, from last year. I want to make sure I understood that.
So basically, that's your cash.
That's what's in our savings account.
Well, that's the money that we have spent.
Right. That's it. I don't think we're in dire straits. We're in pretty good shape.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So do you want me to pull $50,000 out of reserves again this year?
Well, I would say, as opposed to using that number, let's try not to buy the two pieces of equipment first. Let's try, let's see if we can
I agree.
limp by.
Yeah.
I know the police department, I mean, if my 200,000 mile truck can be fixed, Pat can keep, his fleet up and running, then we're not affecting those individuals. So we pick that up, we prepare to transfer some amount out of reserve. Hopefully it's not 50. And we know that we can go up to 3.5% worth of tax increase, which you didn't raise it that much last year, and somehow or another we stayed in budget, or we had a balanced budget.
Yeah.
With a 3%-ish number. So I would say go the direction of not buying the vehicle or the tractor in your calculator, because we're gonna look at this a couple more times.
Yeah.
We adopt it the first meeting in September,
Yes.
and after some public hearing stuff.
Yeah.
Only thing I would say on the tractor part, that if we see that, we don't put it in the budget, but if we see a problem happening, that we're gonna spend the money to fix it, that costs $3,000 or $4,000, then we still buy it.
But that could then come out of reserves? How do you do that?
The council would have to approve that.
Right, which would be the same thing as budgeting.
Right.
You'd have to make a budget amendment.
Right. So we could still do it that
That's
way.
smart, and not,
And Gene, do you know the specs on the tractor, how many horsepower it is and things like that?
No, I'm letting them come up with that, and they were gonna give me some prices on that. What I did was I said, what's the maximum this tractor's gonna cost, you think?
And you're
They said
suspecting
They
it,
said $35,000.
And it's a tractor with a loader that they use and a bush hog.
Well, the bush down, we have bush hog is perfectly good, it's just the tractor. They just need another, the tractor's probably 20 years old, how old that tractor?
right.
It really, I mean, the age of the tractor doesn't matter as much as the hours on it.
Yeah, but they use it a lot.
Okay,
Because all their ditches they mow, that's what they're mowing.
okay.
Mowing that.
You also run into where it's more expensive
right.
to keep it.
He also, all of his oil sand and things that he does,
That's how he moves it around.
well, not only that, but that's how it runs the tiller.
Oh, the mixer.
Mixes, yeah.
Okay.
So, a lot of the hours are not,
I'm standing because of my knee, not
Yeah.
because I'm
yeah,
a
we,
professional.
We understood.
Trying to put us in a position of,
Inferior.
yeah.
We kind of got that way.
You don't want me standing on the chair. So let's suggest taking both those things out as you're building this model. Let's suggest that we bridge some of the gap out of reserves.
Yeah.
And then let's suggest that we consider the tax increase. Is that unrealistic?
No, I'm not comfortable with anything. I don't want to get close to 3.5, because if you get close to 3.5, then you run the danger of making a miscalculation, and you've actually gone over the rollback. You don't
Right,
wanna do that.
right.
So what you want to do is keep it in the, I wouldn't be comfortable with going over 3%.
Or maybe use your 2.7 that you used last year. It just, it's a good number. A lot of our numbers, you're using the same numbers you had last year.
Let me talk about a couple of things that I didn't include in this budget either. We're having some issues with our storm siren system. And the solutions that I have come up with to fix that, there's communications issues sometimes between where the sirens are set off and here. So what I'm wanting to do is build a way for me for them actually to be set off here. And what we're looking at there is somewhere around $18,000 to $20,000.
It's some sort of a software.
Well, there's two ways to solve the problem. We can actually put another unit in here and put antennas and things up to communicate with the towers. Or we can go with a software solution where I can even set the stuff off sitting on the ship.
Yeah.
Because of the way it's done. But either, I was hoping one of those solutions would turn out to be a lot less expensive than the other.
But both of
Both of them are about the same.
mid-20s.
Yeah, so of course, that's something, if we decide to do that, so that's what we're gonna need to at least purchase. But it makes me very uncomfortable when we test the sirens and one of them is not fire.
Yeah.
And of course, if I could get everybody to sign up, everybody, when we set off the storm sirens, there's always people that says, I can't hear them. But the key part about storm sirens is, the first word in the storm siren is outdoor emergency warning system. Those sirens are designed for people who are outside of the building to hear them. They're not really, if you hear them inside a building, so much the better. But the key is they're outdoors.
Yeah, seek shelter.
That's right. So that's the reason, like on Facebook, when we have these storms and things, I encourage people to sign up for Code Red, because chances of that hitting you are 100%. The chances of you hearing that storm siren, if the wind's blowing away from you, or if you're inside my house with 6 inches.
And the TVs are all playing.
Yeah, and the wind's blowing at 80
Or
miles
it's
an hour.
raining, cats and dogs, it's loud.
You can,
Yeah.
Well, this last one that went off, I heard it, but David never did hear it.
Yeah, and that's a common thing.
Yeah.
He
So
was-
anyway, so there's, like I said, when this came up this much short, I didn't even want to talk about it.
Yeah, so if we calculate a 2.7 or maybe a 3% tax increase, if we take these two items out and you're prepared to push out of reserves what you need to push to balance, because you may find, like you're saying, you may come back to us in this next review and say, and it might not be the storm siren, but as an example, I have to put, this is going to have to be done. And you're saying it would be done on a lease basis. We wouldn't probably spend 25, but we might spend 5 for 5 years in a row or something like that. So, let's see if we can make it work this way first, and at least get it closer. Because, we could certainly overstate the income side of that, And based on what's been happening in the last 12 months, it would be easy to say, let's just do that. But I like the idea of considering a correction
Cautious.
in, recession. We talk about corrections in the housing industry, and we're looking at those very, very, very soon. We think that, for one reason or another, it's been long enough since 07, 08
Yeah.
correction that we know it always happens again. So, budget that way. And if we make more money, good, then we don't pull. Or our effective cash position is just increased at the end of next year's budget cycle.
And what about staff raises? Any consideration?
It's a complicated deal. I mean, I don't know how we don't raise staff if we raise the police department. You got people with just as many years tenure. I don't know, I honestly, Gene, I don't know.
Well, that got some guys.
I mean, we've got some time, right? I mean, we've got.
Yeah, but he needs to start building that model.
Yeah, I need to know which direction you want me to go. That's what that's what I'm looking for guys for.
Nobody wants to say, well, let's, have a raise freeze this year because of where we are, and we're trying to figure out how this tax thing is going to affect us, or the recession, or whatever, but, I mean, that's a hard thing to say. Carol?
I'm not the person that you ask about these questions.
I'd say try to show us something that doesn't include a decrease in administrative. I mean, there's got to be some way to look at raises. If you're giving one department raises, there's got to be some way to look at, and if it affects our reserves too much, then we'll just have to make some kind of educated.
So the insurance is going up 4%, right?
We don't know.
Ish.
We won't know till it's fixed. I just pulled a number out of the air.
And it's been doing that every year.
Well, it's always been, most years it's been less than that, so that's the reason I pulled it for.
And a little of that has to do with who's on the program. I mean,
Yeah, what kind of claims we have.
And do the employees pay that, or does the city pay that?
No, we pay 100%.
Okay. So that's, I.
I'm talking about the city pays 100% of that.
Right. And I would hate to lose any staff, administrative employee, as well as they've done. The city has run tremendously well, and that's just my concern, is that it normally, on issues like that, people jump. And we don't want them to jump, but it does happen. And when you do that, you end up paying more later. So that's, on my side, that's my opinion, is that it has to be done cautiously. But I would hate that we don't take care of our employees, because I know the graph we've done in the past, we're not way over on anybody, and we'll lose ground if we stop.
yes.
That's just my.
And there's always that battle, that, you got some turnover no matter what happens.
Right.
And we've caught some of our departments up a little bit.
Well, I'm saying, we're in the middle. I think, the only thing is, the police seems excessive. I don't know if that's in the middle, or are we
How
jumping?
many officers are there?
I'm sorry. We have 11.
11 officers?
No, there's 10 officers and
Yeah, so there are 11.
and 2 of those are SROs.
Yeah.
So do we get a rebate? I mean,
Yeah, we get about $85,000 a year back.
But these numbers reflect that rebate.
That's already in there.
Well, if you go back to the income side, you see the $85,000.
Right.
Come back out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but not in the expense side.
So 11
Yeah.
officers, that would make, that's not excessive.
It's 2,000.
Hang on a second, let me kind of, if you want to see what police stuff looks like, hang on a second.
Because Jim, that chart you had last year was, I'm sure it's still the same. Are we still in the hunt based on our size of the city?
Here's a little spreadsheet.
And not comparing Bullard?
Well, here's what I did comparing us with everybody. Here's the populations, here's Bullard, Chandler, Troup, White House, Lindale, and Overton. These are the budgeted expenditures in the police department. That's Bullard, can you see these numbers?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. There's Chandler, the reason I pulled Chandler because it was easy to get numbers out of
John,
all these other numbers I pulled right off the internet.
Okay.
Here, everybody's budget. Here's here's Troup, here's White House, here's Lindale, here's Overton. These are fines and fees. This is what the police department takes in fines and fees. That's Bullard, Chandler, Troup, White House, Lindale, Overton.
There needs to be more fines and fees.
Man, look at Art. What is Art doing?
they're working that Highway 64.
Yeah, they are.
Well,
They're working at
And
overpass.
they also set, like the other day, they were ticketing people for not slowing down enough when they came across what they did, they put a fake car out there, and when people would pass that.
Oh,
not
you have
slow
to slow down on
20
Bullard.
miles below the speed
They
limit.
were right.
We have the same judge, and they have our judge concerned about some of the tickets that
Oh,
we
my
might
God.
We've been really, really good
He's
about
very
not
concerned.
writing.
And I'm happy that we are.
Yeah, we've been really good.
Well, I mean, you want to be fair, but that looks like, I mean, I can't only even say that on record.
Yeah. So if you take this number, subtract this number, that's the amount of money that has to be recovered out of the police department from some other source.
Wow. Okay, so how many officers?
Okay, here's the size of the department. Bullard has 12. Chandler has 8.
Okay.
Art has 5. Troup has,
Is that taking?
And put in the SRO.
and 2 the SROs, yeah. That's right, isn't it? There's 10.
Yeah, and there's my mistake.
Plus Evan.
Yeah, but there's my mistake, because I didn't think that affected that many people, and that's not a lot.
Much
Yeah.
more than us, they have the same amount of cops and they're bringing in, what is Overton working as far as ticket wise? I mean,
They will, they
Well, they ride hard on
They sit right outside of town and that speed.
Where it drops to
goes
45.
45.
Yes.
They stop each line.
And when you leave town, they go from 45 to 55 to 65 to 70 and it's. And
You're like almost in art.
And you're
You're almost
you know
in
it's-
art.
You know 70's right out there. I've gotten.
Yeah, and the road's already widened out
Yeah.
4 lanes.
You get 55 and it's
And
45.
see there's 6 dispatchers at Lindale and 3 at Overton, so that's included in their counts.
Okay.
Okay, here's some charts I did. Okay, this is the police per capita budgets. Okay. Bullard, the per capita police budget is $283.60. Chandler is this amount here. Arc is that. Troup is. That's your population divided by your police budget.
356.48 as opposed, we are the highest. We are the highest of these listed.
If you divide the police officer by it.
That's the budget divided by the number of citizens, correct?
Yeah. Population compared to per capita police budget. That's your population divided by your.
So we're getting we're the highest.
Yeah, this is your population here. And this is your per capita police budget. Buller was 283, Chandler's 226, Arp's 271, Troup's 356, White House 148, 148, Lindale's 318, and Overton's 205. Here's the fines and fees. We decided we really didn't like that one because that depends on what your police department is. You may not want your police department pulling over people.
Right.
Yeah,
We've all agreed for the last 10 years that we like the fact that we don't write many tickets.
Okay. Here's your police budget.
We don't write many, we write a lot of warning tickets.
That's right. His police budget is a percentage of property tax revenues. Of course, this created quite a stir when I posted on Facebook because most people don't know that 100%, more than 100% of most of these revenue has to go to fund their police department. Did you know that?
no, I'm not even sure I follow you.
Okay. Okay.
100%.
Of your tax, okay. Here's 100% of tax revenue right here. That's your ad valorem tax, okay? That line right
As
there.
a woman, it's our property.
That's your property tax. In Bullard, it takes 122.56% of your property tax revenues to fund your police department,
Okay, yeah, I didn't see.
okay? Chandler is 61, now I don't know how they do that there. Arp is 102%. Troop's 122.89%.
Well, if you look back, does Chandler have a lot of income from tickets?
Yeah, but that don't subtract that out.
That doesn't.
No, that doesn't count that into account. This just takes your property tax revenue and compares it to what's your police budget.
So
Yeah.
122% of our taxes, more than, in other words, 22% more than we bring in taxes
It's
is
paid.
paid into police budget.
Yeah, and that was,
And it's not untypical.
yeah. Here's Lindale's 145.
Right.
Yeah,
Here is Overton, 135.
yeah,
Tyler is 145.
yeah.
Which, I mean,
It's not untypical.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the employee cost per police position. Okay, that's just taking the number of employees divided by what the personnel cost is in the department. Okay, Bullard is 58,000, Chandler's 58,000, Arp's 47,000, Troup is 58,000. White House is 65,000, Lindale is 69,000, and Overton's 45. So what I've done there is just taken the personnel cost in that department divided by how many people you got. Or
And
these,
that's including benefits and everything.
that's everything.
Okay.
So we're in the middle again.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, and so again, for instruction to Eugene,
Yeah.
we're gonna tell you to look at, for now, leave the police, the step raises in. Jeff, Brandy, Carol, Nelson said yes, I mean, for this model building.
Yeah.
But you're gonna have to go back and look at your other employees.
And then this,
In your model building, you're just gonna have to do that.
but I needed some instructions from you. No, these charts are kind of interesting. Here's the police budget as a percentage of general fund budget. That's your total general fund budget, and what portion of that's your police department budget. And in Bullard, that's 45%, Chandler's 21%, Arp is 49%, and Troop is 40%. So you see, Troop is actually, their police budget as a percentage of our general fund budget is actually less than some of these other places.
But we're third from the, I mean, there's only two cities that spend more on percentage on police than we do.
Yeah. And then here's your police staff per thousand, which is your police staff divided by 1,000. Okay, which kind of gives you like a batting average. Let's say, okay, Overton has 4 employees per thousand, Lindale's 396, White House is 192, Troop has 5, Arp's 498, Chandler's 292, and Bullard's 365. So that, you know, what's gonna happen in that, just because of the way things are, the smaller the town, the bigger that number.
Yeah, because you're gonna staff your police department full-time,
Right.
regardless of what the population is.
And this is our per capita police department budget. Bullard, Chandler, Troup.
Any other questions?
Y'all want me to send you this spreadsheet?
I don't want you to send it to me. If you would print it, I'd like to come by and pick it up.
Oh, okay. You want the charts or just the whole sheet?
I like those charts.
Okay.
I
You
mean,
like
I
the picture?
like the spread, the bar charts.
Yeah, you can visually see.
Yeah. Well, I have to draw myself pictures more. Like with the numbers.
Visual.
You're talking, yeah. I mean, I like them.
No, really.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically what you're telling me then is you want me to eliminate some of the asset purchases and try to figure in some raises.
Yeah, and, you know, look at a tax increase, and we're not calculating water and sewer at all, but that may be coming.
Yeah.
Is that, everybody generally agreed with that? Okay. Does that give you enough to move to your next?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was 12B. 12C is the comment and input from the council. Mrs. Wilson has a thing she'd like to discuss about church hours and the water park.
Yeah. I had a lot of people tell me Sunday when the water park was open
In the morning.
Sunday morning, that it was really noisy and it was detrimental to our
Worship.
worshiping.
So-
And if they just opened it at 12,
Is there,
on Sunday.
what are the hours running?
From 9 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So
So it would
just
be
Sunday.
easy enough to probably,
And of course, one of the persons from the church told me, said the person that donated the money would not be happy with the hours. But the person that donated the money is the one that divides the hour.
yeah, but
But
I'll
our
bet,
church
we-
is,
I'll bet we could
our church is.
easily do that on, you know, it's like after church hours.
And I bet you if you put that to her in a question, she would agree.
Yeah,
Yes.
Well, that, you know, that means I'm gonna need to redo all my signage.
but that's okay. I'll donate the re-lettering of the signs.
I'll give you some money for it too.
Yeah. Yeah, because we don't want to interrupt.
I would like to be at church when that's going on here now.
But I'm
What's going on?
I'm comfortable
It's
with
loud.
public park, that public park,
Of course, it could be.
only after church hours. I'm comfortable with that.
The same thing is we've got a park right across the street that no one has said anything about.
Yeah.
There's people in that park too. So if you set that rule on that park, you're going to have to set it on all the parks.
Why not necessarily?
I don't think so.
There's no
Just
school.
to, I mean, just to be fair.
There's no
Because it's so
church
close.
next to,
It's so close to the back of our church.
Yeah, I don't
It's
know.
the other, just clear across down.
I would say let's investigate it and talk about, you know, making it a discussion,
Yeah, you need,
a discussion item at our next meeting. A discussion and action item at our next meeting.
so it'll be on the agenda
Yeah, you need
next.
You know, and maybe instead of a council person bringing it, maybe you have somebody make an agenda.
Request.
A request to speak, just one person very briefly, that would make it good, and I don't mind discussing
Pick
with
that person one.
pick that person was.
Miss Thatch would be perfect. Miss Thatch maybe.
Oh, yeah, good day.
Okay, so that was 12C. Are there any other items of discussion from the council? Mr. Connell? These-
The budget has to be in,
Oh, it has to
we
be.
gotta have it written by city
Yeah.
crew.
About September.
The end of September.
Yeah. Okay, then, with that being said, I note that it's 8:16 and we are adjourned.